everybody, hello, welcome to part 2 of the Cori cycle. All we're doing in this video is drawing the biochemical pathway of glycolysis, gluconeogenesis, and lactic acid fermentation happening in your muscle, in your liver. And these are the biochemical pathways that we discussed in the previous video. So check out the previous video for more context. All we're doing here is just the pathway. We just did glycolysis. We started with glucose and we did glycolysis down here and we yielded pyruvate. Glucose to pyruvate. What do we yield in glycolysis? Glycolysis yields 2-pyruvate and it also spits out a net of 2-ATP. And then what's the next critical part of glycolysis? NAD, NADH. So we also put in two NAD plus and we get out 2 NADH. This is a very high level overview of glycolysis, but this is all we need to know to keep the Cori cycle simple. 1 glucose goes in, 2 NAD plus go in, we reduce that NAD plus into NADH, we spit out 2 pyruvates, and then we make a net of 2 ATP. For glycolysis to happen, we need this NAD plus. Here's the next important part of the Cori cycle is lactic acid fermentation. What we're gonna do now, see how glycolysis is depending on this NAD plus here. The lactic acid cycle is very important because it gives us more NAD plus. When we do pyruvate into lactate, NADH, let me figure this out. NADH, okay, we're gonna figure this out together. I'm trying to figure out if we are oxidizing or reducing pyruvate into lactate. Here's how we're gonna figure this out. We need NAD plus up here, and I know that when we go from pyruvate to lactic acid, we regenerate NAD plus. So if NADH is coming in, NADH is reduced, therefore pyruvate must be oxidized. If NADH comes in reduced and we spit it out oxidized, then I know that reduced, oxidized, oxidized, reduced. Lactate is reduced pyruvate. Yeah, lactate. Okay, this is very important for the Cori cycle. Lactic acid fermentation, and this is done by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase, LDH. So this gives us lactate. This lactate travels to your liver, and this NAD plus comes back up to the top of glycolysis, and it feeds into glycolysis again, and we can keep glycolysis going. This lactate is going to your liver now. What happens inside your liver is literally just the complete opposite of this. Lactate gets oxidized into pyruvate, and then we send pyruvate up gluconeogenesis, and we make glucose. So here is a zoom in of lactic acid fermentation, and once we get that lactate, we can send it to the liver. I just said that 4.5 times. I know, I'm really sorry. Now I'm gonna draw the whole thing happening. Here is your liver. Here is your muscle. Always starts in your muscle. Inside your muscle, we have glucose going down glycolysis. This yields 2 NADH, 2 ATP, 2 pyruvate. So let's draw that. Glucose, glycolysis, 2 pyru, and then 2 NADH, and 2 ATP. There we go. Glucose, blah, 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 pyruvate. Now this is our lactic acid fermentation step. by the enzyme lactate dehydrogenase. 2 NADH go into that reaction. 2 NAD plus oxidized come out. So we reduce pyruvate into lactate. And now down here we have lactate. This lactate from your muscle travels into your liver, and now lactate shows up in your liver. Because we have low energy availability in the muscle, we have low blood glucose in general, glucagon is elevated. This is the hormone that's going to be stimulating gluconeogenesis in your liver. So lactate shows up in your liver, and we send it up gluconeogenesis, but first we have to oxidize it, dehydrogenate it into pyruvate, and we do that dehydrogenation with the enzyme lactic acid dehydrogenase, and it uses 2 NAD plus and it spits out 2 NADH. And then that pyruvate goes up gluconeogenesis and it makes glucose, and we send the glucose into your blood, and then that glucose travels to your liver. This is the Cori cycle. This is how your body, this is how your body turns lactic acid into glucose at your muscle when your muscle is literally starving of energy. If you enjoyed this video or got any value out of this video whatsoever, please like, comment, and subscribe, and then check out the part 1 of the video of the Cori cycle where we just put the biochemistry in context.